One of the teams playing today is likable, and it's not the Blues. I'll tell you that much. Welcome in to the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. This is the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We got Big E and Rudo coming to you live as the Avs take on the St. Louis Blues in a matinee, their last matinee of the season. I think they might have like a 5 o'clock game. That's not really a matinee.
Maybe playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. You could see some matinees in the playoffs. It's a fair point. Binnington in net for the Blues. The Avs lineup has not been announced at all, but we're pretty much expecting
Blackwood
the same.
starting.
Blackwood starting. There you go.
We knew that.
Not a big surprise on that front. Some of the depth forwards may be switched. They may not be. But you're not going to see any major differences in the Avs lineup tonight, including you will not be seeing Taylor McCarr. This is a weird game in a lot of ways. One, matinee games are always weird. But you have this red-hot St. Louis Blues team. They've won their last 8 in a row. You have the Avs who've won 12 of their last 14. Is this a test of wills for the two streaking teams here? Or is this a game where, I mean, let's face it, by the day, these games are getting less important for Colorado when it comes to the actual result of them. They're pretty locked into that third seed. St. Louis, they're still trying to secure that wild card spot.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, the word is swag. You know what I mean? Like the Avalanche, I think it's more business as usual today. What do I mean by that is they've been hot. They're one of the best teams in hockey.
Yep.
Obviously, the Kings were one of them. The St. Louis Blues are one of them. They're just coincidence that they both come in back-to-back, right, against the Avalanche. For the Avalanche, it's business as usual because they're expecting to win. They're expecting to win the Stanley Cup. Those were the goals at the start of the season. For the St. Louis Blues, totally different. Start of the season, didn't expect to win the Stanley Cup.
A month ago, they weren't even talking about playoffs.
But that's what I'm saying. So that is a tough opponent to come in because Montgomery has come in there and really made them believe into something, whatever that is that he's selling. You know what I mean? He's selling in the locker room. He's selling some stuff to the players. The players are buying into it. Binnington's been great since the Four Nations. Really gave him a new lease on life, basically a new, something because he's been hot. Now, they believe, but now they know that they have a big test in the Avalanche this afternoon, right? So what does that do? Does that mean that you got the swag and whatever Jimmy's selling to the team, he's got to sell it even more today to say, hey, nothing bothers you today. This is a great test. He's going to get them. He's got them cranked up right now in the locker room ready to go for warm-up. I mean, obviously, they just went on the ice for warm-up. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I think the Avalanche, I'm not saying they're downplaying the Blues. I'm saying it's just a different mindset. Sure. But at the end of the day, both teams are hot. Both teams want to win. And both teams want to keep their streak alive. So somebody will keep streaking.
Somebody.
Rank the tank. Hopefully it's the Avalanche.
One of the two will. Got a couple of Avs players that you'd like to keep up some streaks as well. Nathan MacKinnon at home, things like that. Yep. I know you always talk about it's not superstition, it's routine.
Yep.
No morning skate today. You always talk about how all the timings are off for these afternoon games or whatever you want to call them, but how do you get yourself ready and loose for a game like this? Or let me ask you this way. Would you rather have games be like this with no morning skate all the time?
I hate morning skates.
Does morning skate actually do something for the players?
It does nothing.
Really?
It does nothing. It's all preparation. That's all it is.
All right.
And, of course, the Avalanche yesterday, they had the practice at Family Sports. It was optional. Guys get what they need out of it if you went out there. Coaches get what they need out of it when it comes down to meetings or going over some stuff from the game before. To some guys,
on ice, it's not a whole lot.
No, I mean on ice, it's nothing. Rest is key. I mean, it's going to be so important down the stretch. But today, it's one of those weird ones because it's 2:30. I mean, it's not like it's 1 o'clock or 4 or 5 o'clock. Or it's 2:30 is a weird one because now you start counting, right? usually it's 7, so now I usually get dressed at this time. And so if you're not good at math, like I'm not, then you get all confused. If you're very intelligent, like McCarr and O'Connor, I'm sure they have no problems. But it's kind of makes it weird. But once the game's over, it's fun because it's just a nice hour, to maybe go out to dinner as a team with the wives
time
and stuff.
with your day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of nice. So I think the Avalanche have been really good in matinees, so I'm looking forward to it.
Shout out the folks over at Burgundy Review, my old stomping grounds. No LOC, no EJ in warm-ups. So EJ expected. Keane Middleton will be in for your defense again. No LOC. We'll see if it's still Miles Wood in for him, or maybe it's VC. I don't know.
Maybe Jimmy.
We'll see. But
Logan was on the ice yesterday, so it probably his turn to get a day off, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, which is fine. Again, Bednar alluded to it the other day. Everybody's on the same page.
Yep.
Everybody's been told what's going on, what's happening. So it's not like you get down. Of course, you want to be in there, but there's a method to the madness, and we'll see what happens.
I feel like that's every night right now, as we'll see what happens. But usually it's pretty good stuff happening for Colorado. What do you think the preparation was for this St. Louis team right now? You talked about, obviously, no morning skate, but coaches will still have their meetings, things like that. Realistically, what are you targeting as St. Louis's biggest problems for Colorado in this one?
I think it's the belief, right? It has to be because those guys were out of it. They fired their coach. Jimmy comes in. They basically weren't supposed to make the playoffs. And now they're in a playoff position, really actually in a nice playoff position, pretty solid.
So, how do you counter that then?
But that's
how
what
do you counter the belief?
Well, I mean, I think I talk about it in
we can jump into that.
That's
then.
fine.
Let's not run it over. Let's just do your three keys.
What I was trying to say is key number one for me is win the first, and I do believe in that, and I'll talk about it more and more.
Don't let them stay in it. I get it.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like win the first. Don't listen to what's said on the screen right now because that's an old one, I think. Attack, But you know what I mean? Like it's win the first. Blues are.
Well, you win the first.
Well, that's you win the first by attacking for sure. But the Blues are desperate to keep the playoff spot, right? Blues are on fire. Come out swinging in an afternoon games, which the Avalanche feel comfortable on. Yep. So I do believe scoring first is a big thing tonight for the Avalanche. Key number 2 is play with energy. Why? Because it's exactly what you're saying. It's another playoff type atmosphere. You got to test yourself, but you got to out-battle the opponent because you know that they're going to be flying. There's no way they're going to have a flat game. It just doesn't exist. They've been on their heels, and they've been cranked up by Jimmy and his staff for the last month or two. You know what I mean? So they're going on fumes maybe, but they're going on adrenaline, and you got to make sure you just match the energy and the passion to the game. And then I think number 3, execution's on demand. Go out and perform, connect with passes, hit the net. The Avalanche have scored a lot of goals lately. Their third game of their 4-game homestand. Execution is key because, you want to have passion. You want to work hard. You want to do all that. But this is the time of year right now you want to execute. And you want to make sure that you're, feeling a playoff-type atmosphere game. And you want to make sure that while you're doing that, you control your emotions, but you're also able to execute and make plays when the plays are presented in front of you.
I love the juxtaposition of those last 2 topics for you, E, because I think it's true. When the Avs are executing, they can outskill any team in the league.
Yep.
They can just objectively play better hockey.
Yep.
But a lot of what I think the Avs have learned over this last stretch of 15 games, whatever you want to call it, they need to outwork teams. And when they outwork teams, guess what? They usually win. It's not a complicated game sometimes.
What is it? When hard work doesn't, whatever. When talent doesn't work hard, then
hard work usually outworks talent, or whatever
it is. Whatever that is. I'm French, remember? But you got to work hard. You got to match the intensity. And when you do that, if things don't go your way and you get goalie, you hit post, whatever it is, and you move on because it's not sustainable. You use that word all the time, of course, right? So it's not. So I think you got to make sure you're on top of your game. You got to make sure you work hard, and then cross your fingers that things go well and you do get puck luck. And if you don't, then, well, it's not going to be that way forever. So you move on. And
I'll use one of the words you've used a lot this year, E, and I think it's something the Avs have been a lot better about. They've cut out some of that stubbornness in their hockey game, right? And that's not saying they aren't a little bit stubborn at times. I think the power plays the other night against LA is a perfect example. That first power play, they were stubborn.
Yeah.
But that didn't drift all the way through the game where they just couldn't get it out of their heads. On their next power plays, they were shooting the puck. On the power play after that, their forwards were shooting the puck. And the Avs they're doing a better job of recognizing when they need to simplify a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's no coincidence that lately they haven't been that stubborn. Besides the special teams, power play. I think having 4 steady lines, having 4 lines that compete, having 4 lines where the time on ice is spread out, I think it makes MacKinnon's line be less stubborn. I think it makes the 3rd line, 4th line be less stubborn. Because if you're playing too much, you're going to cheat the game. It's just life, right? That's what the kids do in junior hockey, right? That's why they cheat the game. They play too much. They don't play the real game. And if you're playing 6-7 minutes a night, then you're trying to do something because you want to stay in the lineup, so you're overcomplicating the stuff. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like, catch-22. But if you have 4 lines going, it's kind of nice, and you're less stubborn. And there's a reason that they're 12-1-1, right? Because they know how to control their stubbornness right now.
It's fun to watch when they're at their best. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
St. Louis, never an easy out. Look, I'm not saying the Avs can't blow this team out 7-0. Absolutely could happen tonight, but generally speaking, usually a fairly low-scoring affair when it comes to St. Louis. The guy they have in net, as much as I don't like him, can play pretty good hockey at times.
Oh, he's going to challenge himself tonight.
Yep.
And he's got MacKinnon, those 4 Nations buddies and whatever. I don't know if you can say buddies, but whatever, teammates. But you want to challenge yourself against good teams, against good players, and that's what this guy does. I don't care what people say. You like him or not, he's a gamer. He is a gamer. Hopefully he's a gamer today, but the Avalanche can find a way to really, make him feel bad about his game, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, he's a head case when you can get into that head, so I'll put it to you that way. But for Colorado, I think the guy I'm starting to hone in on get him going, maybe, I don't know that you need more out of him per se, but you would like to see him take a little bit of a step up in the production, is Charlie Coyle. And you talk about that 3rd line, which is Coyle and Colton for sure locked in. That 3rd line wing spot has been a little bit flexible with Kivy not playing and things like that. But with those two, not that their production's been bad. I think you're getting enough production out of them, but you want to see those 2 guys start putting it in the back of the net, righty? Colton, supposed to be a goal scorer for you. And Coyle definitely makes your center depth better, but you'd love that auxiliary offensive threat, I guess.
Yeah, but if you look at Avalanche 1.0 and then all those years of 2.0, it's like, you got top 2 centers. When you're slotted in that 3rd one, you're not getting the cookie ice. You're not. I don't care what people say.
True.
You're not getting the offensive zone faceoffs. Obviously, the Avalanche's strength right now has been their centerman depth, right? But go back to old Yeller, for example, and Yeller would go and score 5-6 goals a year as a 3rd line center, right? Because the ice time is just not there. I'm talking about the quality ice. You want to make sure you are helping out offensively, absolutely. But Charlie's such a smart player. He does impact the game somewhere else, but I agree with you. You want him to score because I got him on my bets today. So you want him to score, and you want him to, make Asterios proud. Terriers are playing the Big Red right now. Hopefully he's not talking to Malinsky today. Big Red versus Terriers.
There you go.
Somebody's on the power play. All right.
We'll see. We'll see if these boys can win that one, but I would sacrifice BU for an Avs win, so.
We want both winning.
We know this. Avs and any other team that you root for can't both win. It never happens. That's how it goes. Is this a weird turnaround for the guys? Obviously, I know we already talked about all the warm-up and morning skate stuff, but that LA game, they probably didn't leave the rink until midnight on Thursday. So you really have, I'd call it 36 hours in between games. That's not a back-to-back, but does it feel like it a little bit for the Avs?
Kind of. I mean, you got that day yesterday. That's why they're so smart right now with their practices and stuff like that. They don't practice. Again, I said it the other day, like, morning skates are so dumb anyway, and then practices are dumb. I'll say it right now. Practices are dumb. At this time of year, you don't get
Spoken like a
nothing.
player, for sure.
It's true. I'm being honest. Like coaches, they love it. They want to get on the ice, and they think it's important. It's not. I think rest is key. I think more teams are doing that now. More teams are staying away from the ice. I think it's important to get to the rink to make sure that you're on the same page. You're taking care of the bumps and bruises. You're taking care of your body. You have a meeting about the opposition that's coming in, i.e. the St. Louis Blues today. So I think it's important, but I think the Avalanche know how to use their rest. They know how to manage their time, like away from games, like yesterday. Great example. And I think that they'll be fresh, ready to go. They'll be flying today. Absolutely.
All right. Well, good news. Apparently, LOC is out there for warm-ups.
Oh, there you go.
So would expect the same lineup as the LA game then.
I would have been surprised. Yeah, I mean, he's played so good the last couple of games.
Agree. It's Colorado's in this weird portion of their schedule right now where they're not particularly playing against meaningful teams to their own season.
Yeah.
But they are playing against good teams.
Yep.
And I think in a lot of ways, the Avs are the measuring stick for other teams right now, more so than the Avs measuring up to the teams.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I guess if you're Colorado, what do you take out of that? Because you're pretty likely to be the lower seed in your first round series. And it feels like you're kind of playing on the flip side of that right now.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important to worry about what you do. No goal. I knew that. But, it's important to worry about what you do, not what the opposition does. But teams are going to be gunning for you. And then when come playoff time, of course they're going to be gunning for you. I mean, no crap.
Not like they're playing somebody else. Yeah.
You're going to be gunning for them as well. You know what I mean? So, that's not a goal, buddy. So I think it's important to get in that mindset, to be ready to play a playoff-type atmosphere, playoff-type details of a game, and go from there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you look at as a coaching staff. That's what you look at as players. And you want to make sure that every facets of your game is on top of it. You know what I mean? And not is on top of it, that you're on top of it. And then you're making sure that, again, habits matter. You heard Bednar say it all year long, right? Habits matter because when it comes down to the end of the year, you want to make sure that you're ready to go. You can't just, turn on a switch. And I think the Avalanche, obviously, lately.
Yeah, last 15 games, the habits are getting formed.
Habits are there. That's why you're winning.
For sure.
That's why you're winning.
I want to dive into the special teams conversation with you, too, a little bit, E. And both sides of it have been really good as of late, especially at home for Colorado. But let me ask you what you think is more important for the Avs. Power play or penalty kill?
Whew. I'm going to say power play because I think that you get. I'm not worried about the saves. I'm not worried about the players you can put out there on the PK. There's so many guys right now. There's so many ways you can kill penalties. So I'm not worried about that. The toughest thing to do in hockey is to put the puck in the back of the net. So it's less of an automatic that you're going to score. Where on a PK, it's more about like hard work and all that type of stuff, right? You know what I mean? So it's more like you can control that instead of, that kind of stuff. So I do believe it's the toughest thing to do is to score goals. But you need talent, you need some schemes, you need everything. And I think the Avalanche have that. But I do believe they'll be all right. And but to answer the question, I think it's tougher to score than to defend.
All right.
That's my thought.
Can't win if you don't score.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the God's honest truth right there. So I think it can go both ways on any given night. I will say, you've been preaching this all season.
Yeah.
Should we see a little bit more of that second unit? It scored a goal a couple nights ago. You have a second unit that you really feel is a real unit at this point. They ran Nelson, Coyle, MacKinnon, and then it was Nate just stayed out from the first unit to play with the second unit. And then you had Taves or Girard as the 1D on it.
Yeah, I'm the one that harps on it all the time about two units. But I think Colorado's such a unique situation because Nate's a freak and he can play 2 minutes, actually. A lot of people can't play 2 minutes because They don't have the energy to do it.
I couldn't do it.
He's a
I'll
freak.
tell you
He
that.
can do it. I mean, you can tell Kale gets off because he's like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? And so it's a little bit mix and match for me in
cheeks are
that sense.
extra
So I
rosy.
feel the way that the Avalanche, they're just a unicorn type of power play because it's different than most teams. So
Yep.
if they go with one unit, just depending on whatever it is. But I like that he goes back to it more now to the second unit. So
It's like 30 seconds left instead of 10 seconds with it a little
yeah,
bit. at
it's a
very
little bit
least.
better.
But
So.
apparently that goal counts, buddy.
Yeah. But the guy goes like this. That's a bad call. Whatever.
Stop looking at the Boston game. Bust out your crystal ball instead. Give me a name. Give me a number for tonight's game.
All right, my guy is going to be the Terrier on
Should have guessed.
Charlie
Shoulda
Coyle.
guessed.
Charlie Coyle's going to go and score a goal tonight. I do believe the Avs are winning this one. Well, I'm sticking to 5-1. I'm sticking to 5-1.
Sticking to 5-1.
And Charlie Coyle's
Okay,
getting his first
okay.
as an Av, so looking forward to it.
Oof, I got to sneeze again, but I think we're okay.
Don't.
I'm going lower scoring tonight. I think matinees are weird, and we're going to see a weird one. I'm going to say 3-1 Avs.
Yeah.
I am going to take Cale Makar, though. I know that's the easy answer, but he's got 9 games left. He needs 3 goals. Put 2 of them home tonight. All right?
I like it.
Make your 30 easy. And also dunk on Jordan Binnington because dunk on Jordan Binnington. Why not, right? Jump in with that on that front.
Yeah.
With the low scoring, of course, we can get into my pregame picks with Bet365 where things are never ordinary. I went with both of our gamers on this one.
I like it.
Took both Cale and Charlie Coyle. Oh, man, I wish it was 25,000. It's only 2,500 for the first goal. But I also took the under, and I took the Makar power play point. All pretty good bets for the Avs right now going on these ones. So, first of all, if you do gamble with Bet365, make sure you use the DNVR 365 code. You must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. I'm not saying I want to see the Avs give up a lot of shots, but I am curious to see what happens when Blackwood does get tested a little bit more. We've talked a lot about how it's hard to keep yourselves in games when you're a goaltender, especially adjusting to an Avalanche system that has given up what they're averaging seriously like 23 shots against post deadline. It's ridiculous how good they've been defensively.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be a good thing or a bad thing for Blackwood to have a little bit of a heavier workload in a game like this one?
I'm expecting a heavier workload just because the word I used earlier, swag. You know what I mean? I do believe the Blues have the swag going.
Oops.
And, it's a weird game we're watching. So I do believe that the Avalanche are going to be facing swag, and I do believe that I don't think anything phases the Blues, and I think that's what Jimmy's got them believing right now, that nothing phases you. You go up, you go down, bad call, bad penalty, overcome a fluky goal. You know what I mean? And I think you just keep coming in waves. And now, with that said, the Avalanche give up 20 shots tonight. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, but I know what you're saying. It'd be nice, though, to see a game where because McKenzie's numbers are great. I love him. I think he's the right guy for the Avalanche this year, obviously. The team's been so different since, he's taken the reins. So, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice for him to get, because I know he feels in the groove, but again, I think he's learning how to play those games, and I think he's doing well. And I'm not worried about him, where I might have been worried about him a little bit like 2 months ago, you know what I mean, on these types of games. So
it's a fine line between building the right habits and playing good hockey and falling into a false sense of security, right?
That's right.
I guess and you can expand this to past Blackwood, but is there a little bit of a concern there that things might be a little bit too easy right now for Colorado?
I think they make it. I mean, here's what I think. I think they make it look easy, which is like scary. You know what I mean? For a fan and
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
The NHL should be afraid.
Yeah. But I think on the bench, I don't think they're cocky about it. I don't think they think they're ahead of themselves. You know what I mean? I think they know that if they play the right way and they play the right game of hockey, that they know how to play Avalanche style of hockey, that they should be in a good position by the end of the game to be in a position to win it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's they believe that their poop don't stink. You know what I mean? I don't believe so. But I do believe that they make it look pretty easy lately.
Yep.
Holy cow. I mean, at times you're looking at this and you're like, I don't think they broke a sweat. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a pipe dream in the Toyota chat. I'm sure Mackenzie Blackwood would be down to fight, but Jordan Binnington acts tough, and then when it's time to fight, he runs away. So,
yeah, it's whatever. It's a little image.
He's a soft boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe this is a jaded outlook on this game for me, E, but is the most important thing 0 injuries out of tonight, honestly?
I know. Sorry, I hadn't done it yet. Oh, superstition. Yeah, I do believe it. I do. It's important down the stretch, and God, you would think they would go on a little bit of a run. I know lately they've had some bad luck, a little bit again with 3-4 bodies.
Day-to-day stuff isn't that bad,
no,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Josh is a little longer, obviously.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to feel good about your game. I think it's important to feel good injury-wise. And I think guys have to be honest with each other, too. You know what I mean? If you're, especially at forward, there's some extra guys. So if you're not feeling great, you want to make sure that you're, passing the buck a little bit and let somebody else get in there.
Sure.
And I think you have to be honest as a team. You know what I mean? I understand we're all want to be in the lineup, and at some point you have to be selfish a little bit.
Of course.
But it's for the benefit of the team. You want to make sure you're on the same page. And I think that's what's happening a little bit with the Avs, which is good.
I get wanting to be in the lineup, but you would much rather be in the lineup April 21st than March 30th. Is that 29th?
Well, I mean, again,
29th?
they're all auditions, right? I don't care what people say.
I get it, but if you had to pick one, you'd pick the April.
Oh, no, of course. That's my point. So that's why it's so hard to say, like, my groin's a little tight right now, because you're like, I don't want anyone to take my spot. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's hard. But, it is what it is. But that's a good problem for the Avalanche, for coaches. And at the end of the day, like I said, internal competition, I talk about it every show. There's a reason they're 12-1-1 right now. There's a reason guys are performing well in the right slots of their areas in the lineup, because they're not going to do it. Somebody else will do it. And I think that's very important to play that way. And if you can't do that because you're too nervous, because you don't feel comfortable, like in the lineup, then that means you won't be able to play in the playoffs. So here's your answer. You know what I mean? So, but again, NHLers are good. I think they're comfortable being uncomfortable. So I think it's important. And I think as a young guy, that's what you learn about doing. I think that's why EJ, for the Malinskis of the world, very important to do those types of things.
One last thing here. We've seen a pretty good uptick in the Avs spreading that time on ice around, especially on the forward side as of late.
Yeah.
How big of an adjustment is that for especially a bottom six guy to jump from you were getting 8 minutes a night to all of a sudden you're getting 12, 13 minutes? How different does that feel?
It is different, but I'll tell you one thing. It's so much easier.
I believe it. I believe it.
It's so much easier. It's tough to play 2 shifts up here. I'm not going to lie to you. Your legs are like this. Your groin, your hips are like, oh, my God. And then you get out there and you got a forecheck, and it's hard. So if you play a few more shifts a period than usual, you actually get in the groove more. You feel better about your game. You're not as stiff. You're not as nervous with the puck. And I think it's important that, again, I'll say it again. Playing 5 minutes a night's an art in the NHL. It is not easy. And people think that's easy. It is not.
Well, it's where the Avs are at. They are giving everybody a whole lot more time, and guess what? It's gone pretty well. So not too upset about it. I do think the Stars might need to pop off a little bit tonight for the Avs, but we'll just have to wait and watch the game. We do have one super chat, I believe, before we do get out of here. Just about $3 from James, who says, let's go Avs. I like it. We'll keep it simple right there. We'll wrap up this pregame show. We do have a watch along coming your way, so tune in for that if you want to watch with us. And, of course, come postgame, no matter what happens, we'll break it all down for you after the game. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche pregame show, and we will talk to you in a few minutes.
We all silly like the mayor.